we're going to Maui. So, Lois, how are you?
I am fine, Jeff.
Okay.
We're rounding it up already. We're the last presenters.
We are. Classic.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, why don't you take a second and introduce your cohorts here that are on the screen.
Okay, I'm Lois Hiranaga from Maui, and my cohorts, Hannah Lutkin from the University of Hawaii Extension, and Carver, who is our island director. Together, we've worked really hard to bring this together for our audience. And what we'll be doing today is we have two very special guests with us that will be showing their artistry, and it has to do with leis. One artist is Lauren Shearer, and she is very a contemporary lei maker, and the other is Brittany Teixeira from Haku Maui, and she is the authentic, very her personality just exudes the aloha spirit, and it's just lovely to hear her philosophy behind. She teaches lei workshops, haku workshops. So if anybody's interested in taking a workshop when they're on Maui, they may want to check out her website, because we've taken it and we've just really enjoyed her personality and her sharing. And you really feel the aloha spirit. So anybody coming over, I would recommend that they do that and check out Lauren for her very, very contemporary. She is truly an artist, and you'll get to see that. But we will be sharing the Tropical Nouveau bouquets, Tropical Nouveau bouquets, and our designs that I'll be sharing, 5 designs in 5 color palettes. And the goal was to show the diversity of the different products. We specialize, really, Maui's known for its protea, but we also have some really special other flora and fauna. And my design philosophy is very simple. It's really about the flowers. I love designing with tropical flowers. I find it to be more profitable for my business. And there's some very unique flowers, and every time they do tropical flowers, it really is about the sense of place. We are in Hawaii. I specialize in destination weddings. So it's very meaningful if they do tropical flowers, because it is sense of place. And I love to find different products, and that is really the intrigue. So let's roll Island Say I Do Maui Style 2021.
Aloha, everybody. We're here at Carver Wilson's and Maureen Wilson's farm up in Kula, and they own and operate Maui Floral. They specialize in protea, and here we're actually going through the field, and we can actually, in a little bit, catch some of the king proteas that are budded up. And we're going down the main, the main avenue here, where it's pretty much just lined with king proteas, and they harvest daily. So we're not seeing the mature blooms on the trees, the shrubs right now, because the harvesters have actually come through. But this is fabulous. We're going to be showcasing a lot of bridal bouquets today, and a lot of protea, as well as other flowers that are grown, and we specialize here on Maui.
Good morning, Lois.
Hey, Carver, how are you?
I'm fine. Welcome back to the farm.
Yes, it's been a year, hasn't
Here we are
it?
for year 2.
Yeah.
Are we going up to the top of the field here?
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful day, and we got a lot planned.
That's right.
Glad to be here.
Yes. We're just started into the protea season. So the plants are setting bud, and we have a few blossoms here and there. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I see the kings are budded up, and I saw one of your guys harvesting. So yeah, I was thinking that we aren't seeing many blooms on the plants right now, because the guys have harvested, and they harvest daily. so you can get your fresh shipments out all the time.
Well, that's right. But you know, we really are blooming pincushions here in November, December, January, in the springtime. The kings are going to be, there's a few kings starting, but really that's also in the winter and the spring.
Yeah. Well, you know, in the demonstration today, I'll have a lot of protea to showcase.
Well,
Even
that's great.
Despite it being off season,
Uh-huh.
but we'll be able to showcase some of the different varieties. And here we have the kings all budded up.
Yeah, isn't this
They're
amazing?
coming.
This one plant blooms a little bit early. We call this Yamata. Yamata Kings. That's from Mr. Yamata.
right,
Remember
right.
him?
Yes.
Great
I
guy.
remember when you were on Cop Road, he had the prettiest kings
They
that he
came-
would bring to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the best growers at age 85.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Something about the color and the shape.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of buds still coming up,
Uh-huh. Over here, look, check these out.
and there's the pins now
Yeah,
here.
there's a couple of pins. You can see the early bloomers. Not too much. This is Firecracker.
Yeah.
We call it Firecracker. And then there's a Kristen in the background, which is surprising. It's a little early this year.
Oh, Kristen, right here.
Uh-huh.
The red one with the.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. A difficult plant. One of the most beautiful flowers. That's pretty.
Yeah, that is very, very pretty. And that one's quite hardy.
The flower's great.
Yeah. Is that about the stage you picked it, Norma?
Yeah, we like to pick them at about that stage. That's right.
Oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. It's a little cold.
Well, it always starts out a little chilly and cooler. Remember, we're at 3,500 feet. It's a little different than where you live.
That's right, because I'm down at sea level, so this is a little cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The breeze is coming down the mountain from Haleakala Heights up at 10,000 feet, so it's chilly. And then as the day goes on, it gets warm. I'm here now with Lois, and we're going to go through wedding bouquets.
Hi, Carver. Great to be here.
You bet. It's
So
a
we
lovely
got-
day here, isn't it?
It's beautiful now that the sun's out. We have 5 bouquets to showcase today in 5 different color palettes.
That's right.
A lot of product to show you and explain how to obtain the product.
Right.
Some care and handling, a lot of tips and tricks as well. So hope you enjoy that. But let's start with this white one.
Look at this. Look at
Yeah.
all the different kinds of flowers. Lead us through it here, Lois. What was your inspiration?
So we get a lot of requests for white bouquets, maybe with just a subtle amount of blush. And this one, the blush is brought through by the locally grown tuberose because the
popular.
buds are, it has a very slight blush color against the white blossoms, which are so nice and romantic because it's fragrant.
It is.
And then the Vendela roses have just a cast of ivory and almost a nude tone, but a warm nude tone in it.
Yeah.
It's not a sandy, it's a clean color.
Well, you can see the sunlight picks up the blush color as well. That's kind of in the
Right.
center of it.
And then we have these beautiful white Alpinia gingers. We have the white back here. Yep, that's purest white, right, Carver?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have the torch ginger.
Yes, the torch gingers, kind of like our focal flowers, one here and
One right here.
here.
Yeah.
Those
and
are
the white
beautiful.
anthuriums.
White anthuriums, these are hokuloas. These are actually the small size hokuloas.
And then the beautiful Hawaii dendrobes.
And Hawaii is known to have dendrobiums that pretty much are bloomed to the tips, so you don't have this, like a little amount of flowers and then all buds. So which is really nice.
Yeah, we request that so that we harvest them in that manner.
I actually did request that I get bloomed out ones. Because
Absolutely.
you know what? A lot of times you'll see people that will actually cut off the tip. I almost feel like that's amputating the flower. I mean, I just don't do that. It loses the grace.
Right.
And part of the, why we're using the trailing jasmine and why we want to use the Hawaiian white dendrobiums is because they are more graceful.
And they have an arc to them.
Yes.
They're not stiff.
So when I order white dendrobiums,
Yeah.
I always order extra. So you can actually select the best. Let's say I have 7 in here. they have much more of an arch to it, or much more of a grace to it.
That's right.
So that is always very, very helpful. And
Got a little Lysianthus
yeah,
here.
local grown Lysianthus right here.
Look at the
Just a
inside of
sprig.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, so that has like an inside more green coloration, and the university UH white also has that coloration. So it just ties in, moves from one color. Although we're all in pretty much a monochromatic color palette.
Except I love the geranium.
Yeah, that's also scented geranium. So we have the beautiful smell of that foliage and the tuberose. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you put the bouquet together.
Okay, so the construction of the bouquet is just a spiral hand tie. But the trick on working with Hawaiian tropical flowers, which a lot of times have very thick stems, is you want to, I would say if you're a woodworker, you would whittle it down.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
So yes, here's one that has been whittled down. This
Right.
is the natural stem length. Now imagine, I have, I believe, 7 gingers in here. So if you were having to grab onto 7 of those, you've got a really heavy, bulky bouquet. So I've actually trimmed it down like that. And I'm gonna show you how you do that. The easiest way would be to take your knife and you just are gonna whack off, just like I would say like a woodworker. You start, you know, of course the stems, when
Right.
you sell them,
Right.
they could be like 4 feet
So
long.
cut them shorter. Don't be
Right,
afraid to
yeah,
cut them shorter.
cut it shorter so you have less to remove. But that's the process.
And also, incidentally, if you ask for shorter stems, it's less freight.
Right. Yeah. Do you have an extra charge? Because some places do that.
Is that right?
They do. If you wanted to get roses and you wanted, because you would maybe use it for petals, so there is a surcharge. Yeah, yeah. And then sometimes,
We don't charge extra.
I'm glad, but sometimes the ginger head's too big. Just because you have to take what's available, especially in times like we are going through right now. But what you have, what I do is then rip this part all off.
Go for it. Show how it's done.
Show, oh, what a shame.
I know, it's a beautiful
What a
jungle. It's
shame.
called Jungle Queen.
And these are jungle queens, and they are hard to come by. This is
They are.
not something that you can call and request 200 of them.
That's one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you know what? It truly is a blush.
Yes.
Compared to the purest white, this is a pure, I would say ivory, because the Lysianthus is a white, yeah? But
That's
when
white
you,
ginger.
Yeah, but when you compare that, you can see the blush.
Right.
Right. So here we are, we're actually stripping down the ginger to reduce the size.
And you can use the petals in the petal path.
You could if you wanted to.
You bet.
Yeah, you wanted to. But that's the idea. So sometimes if you ended up having, let's say, a large ginger, and you really wanted maybe only a medium-sized head, this is what you would do.
Well, in this bouquet, really what's the most important is the top tip of it.
Yeah, yeah. But the ones in here were actually smaller. I chose not to use this one because of the size. But that would be what you would do to make it usable and in proportion to what you're designing.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the next color. What do you
All
say?
right. Okay. Next color, we're going to do lavender.
Well, look what I've got in my hand here. It's a purple lavender bouquet.
Yeah, we've got subtle colors mixed through here. The inspiration of this bouquet started with this Phalaenopsis orchid, which actually came from a potted plant. When I saw this orchid, I was like, I gotta have that, and we built the palette basically around that orchid. And as I'm trekking around the island, trying to find,
As only Lois can.
you know, I
Trying
thought,
to find special things.
right. And bouquets are always like that. That's very close to my heart.
Right.
That I spent a lot of time on the bouquet. But we have a lot of protea foliage in this bouquet. The Leukodendron galpenii.
Galpenia, yes.
Yes, and you may see that with the cones. It's more known to have the cones on them. But in this case, the foliage has maybe if we can zoom in right maybe this way.
Yeah, look at
you
that. It's
see
got a very
this?
subtle lavender tip on it.
Which picks up on the quicksand rose, and then we have a couple lavender lady anthuriums. And this one is actually very special. This Banksia, you normally don't see this because it's actually a young.
It's a little bit harvested a little immature. It's called Banksia Media, and it's very.
But it has that very mauve color as it's.
It hasn't gone silver and red. It's a very subtle, very lovely, lovely. And you got a silver tillandsia.
Yes, tillandsia.
We got some albiflora right underneath this.
Yeah, there is some Brunia albiflora. And tight, and there is a lot of variation growing on in here, so we have a lot of depth. It is a hand tie, spiraled hand tie, but I have used an egg in the middle to help keep a little bit more openness in the design. So that is actually what's in here. But I think we also have some Leukodendron. And this Leukodendron, actually, maybe if we show it from this side, actually has a kind of blue cast to it.
Yeah, look at that.
So this one is a little bit red, pulling a little red here, but this actually, this bush had the blue cast to it, so I thought perfect.
And then you got a little of the small eucalyptus.
So this is locally grown parvifolia because, we can't bring that in.
That's right.
one of the items now that's not allowed to be imported. And then some fairy dust flowers. We have the Lysianthus. And the Lysianthus is actually darker. And I chose to take just the younger flowers, so we just have a mauve center and we can keep within this very soft palette.
Very nice, thank you.
Okay, we can move on to our next one, which will be our
pink
yellow.
Bouquet.
Yellow or pink? Pink, yes.
Well, this is the pink bouquet, and what a wonderful display of many kinds of flowers it is.
Yes,
nice job.
Quite a collection here. We have a lot of local grown product in here, even the temperates. And this one happens to have been grown here on Maui.
That's
From
great.
the dahlias, the Lysianthus, the snapdragons, the tuberose, and
Special thing right here, isn't it?
I even foraged some hibiscus. So you can actually use hibiscus if you experiment at when to cut. And you can time it. And that's what
When is the best time to cut it?
I usually cut when it's cool because that's going to want to wilt really fast.
And close up.
Yeah, well, they only last a day. I thought I actually was cutting doubles or semi-doubles, and that you have a little bit more leeway, but I do play with it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to look at the bud and know what stage you're cutting. So these were all bud, and it opened for today. So that's something, people could experiment with, yeah?
So what other kinds of flowers do you have in here?
So we have the Alpinia, the ginger. This is the Eileen McDonald.
That's right.
And we have Princess Aiko Anthuriums. And these are really special. They're very small kings.
Yeah, we grow those right here on the farm.
What do you call them if somebody wants this size versus somebody wanting that size?
Well, we call them infants.
Infants, okay. So huge difference. So depending on the proportion that you want, you could order this infant size, or the one you just showed.
That's
is that
just
the
a regular size,
regular
yeah.
king? And then you do have one in the middle, which is the baby king.
Right. I really like this Eileen McDonald pink ginger. It was found in Tahiti, but it was grown in Hana the first time by Howard Cooper.
Yeah, that's very pretty. And you know what? While we're talking about ginger, do you think you can show? Let me hold this. And do you think you can grab the raspberry or the tomi?
Mm-hmm. This shows a little bit different color.
So depending on the application, they may want the lighter pink versus this more hot pink.
Or sometimes you have a
combination.
A combination,
which would help with depth. Yeah. So this is, do you call it raspberry or tomi?
Either one.
Okay. So that is the difference in the ginger, and this is what you consider a medium?
Yeah, this is a medium size, but it's really perfect because you can use it as in the centerpiece, or you could use it as an accent, a different shade of color in the bouquet.
Yeah, I prefer the mediums because they are a little bit more open in comparison to the small size. Yeah.
But every stem size or every flower size has its own application.
Right.
Because not everybody's going to have a bouquet as large as this.
That's true. These are larger bouquets. And this one is quite precious.
Yeah, Maui Magic.
That's the Maui Magic pincushion.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And
That's very sweet.
we have,
We got
let's
some.
see.
You got some tuberose in there. You've got some.
Yeah, some tuberose,
What kind
fragrant
of rose
tuberose.
is that? Is that a
This
sand?
is actually Sahara,
Sahara.
another popular one. And right in here we have a pink torch. Earlier we showed the white torch, and in this case it's the pink torch. We might have to angle up a little bit there, and let's see, did we cover? And there's some snapdragons, dahlia, Anthurium, Princess Aiko. I think we've covered it. The hibiscus.
What's the foliage here?
The foliage is trailing jasmine. Just again, a little bit of movement because the design is quite compact. With that many tropicals, we've got a lot of bold flowers. So the little tendrils, little playfulness to soften up the bouquet.
Boy, there's a lot of varieties of the flowers in here. How do you go about ordering it?
For our viewers, I would suggest that they get a copy
Of the book?
of the Neotropical Guidebook, and it is available for free. All you have to do is pay for shipping. You go to HawaiiNeotropica.com, go press on the link to guide, and it'll take you to an email address that you would press, and you'd be communicating with Judy, and she will set you up collecting the shipping fee, the postage, and get you the guidebook. And then also on the website, HawaiiNeotropica.com, there is a membership guide. So
Sure,
if
so
you
you
hit,
become a member.
right, there's a great advantage of being a member of HFNA. Right, but you could also, there's a membership guide if you hit the product tab. And then it'll take you to a listing of all the HFNA members.
Right, so you can see the
Yeah.
different farm names. What is the book like?
So the guidebook actually has, it's divided into, this one's by colors, and it shows you the anthuriums, the protea, the orchids, foliages, and you have the names in different varieties, the seasons. Some items are a little bit more scarce, and there is a notation on it if the item is scarce.
Well, it's a great guide and a good help to see all the varieties of products that we have out of Hawaii.
Yeah, there's even a section on leis in here too, as
That's
well.
great.
Yeah.
And
Potted
bromeliads
plants.
and potted plants as well. It's very
Yeah,
thorough.
it's very handy. I encourage everyone to order one.
We have it on our desktops.
Right.
That's
I
right.
actually order from this, and I give the page. When I put up my order, I will actually say what page it's on and what number.
We know that, Lois.
Okay, well, you know me well. All right.
Hey, look at this one. I think it should be called the Sunrise Bouquet.
Okay, we'll call it the sun.
Haleakala Sunrise, right? Everybody likes to go up the top.
Right. So we have a lot of different tropical product in this one, less temperates.
Look at this Phalaenopsis.
Isn't
Where'd you
that
get
gorgeous?
that? Yeah, it sure
Another
is.
potted plant, saw that, and I was like, okay, we
Got it.
got our next color palette.
And look, what is this?
This is a Costas red feather. And also, let's go to there's a tropical shampoo ginger in here.
Right here.
Oh, this one actually is a Calathea.
Oh, yeah.
Buttercup. No, I didn't have the, I thought
It
I
is,
had.
it's
Oh,
right
there
behind
it
here,
is,
hiding.
there. Isn't that gorgeous against the Phalaenopsis? That is a Zingiber hortensii, shampoo ginger. And it has that very nice kind of reddish brown tone, and it just blends beautifully with this. And the Phalaenopsis lip here transitions into our ranunculus. So we got that contrast.
And you've got a little safari back here that
Right,
accents off of
Leukodendron.
that.
Yep. That's
And then
just
you've got
kind
these
of red.
beautiful candlelight pin cushions
Candlelight
that work off of
pins.
these little mocaras.
Local macaras, little yellow with brown spots. And then this will be a new introduction, Anthurium, not named yet. It's number 2071.
What page is it on the heart?
It's not in the guide. It'll make the next edition. Yes, it's not in the guide.
This is kind of a neat flower. This is the
yes.
Mimetes protea. It's lovely.
It looks like it has threads. It's full of texture.
Oh yeah, it's special.
I found out that you can't get it wet, right?
It's
white
better when
part,
it's dry.
It looks like it's stringy. Oh, it looked like wet string. Yeah.
And then here we have the Banksia Media, which is in more mature, a little bit more silver. It's got the yellow flowers down here at the bottom.
Right. So that is bringing in, we're tying in the transition of the yellow from the Banksia. Then it ties back into the Macara. And it's tying into our buttercups, and it ties also into the yellow pins.
I have another Banksia here,
I'll grab
too.
this, and you can
see,
show.
You can kind of see somehow the foliage plays a part in the design, or you can even see how you could include a different Banksia to accent the colors, and not be afraid of the big foliage.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
About Banksias. Typically, all Banksias have a jaggedy or rickrack type edge.
Yeah, they all have the serrated edge. Yeah, that's part of the look.
And they dry really well, right? That's
great.
the advantage of if you're using Banksias. They dry very well. There's a couple more. Maybe we can.
We have the orange ones and the Pionoides.
Yeah.
This is a little bit, and this would also be kind of interesting.
That would, that's fun too.
And you don't need to. Obviously, you can use just the flower, or you can use the foliage. But you can see how that works in this bouquet as well.
The perfect color palette.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was the construction is a spiral hand tie on this one.
Golly, this has a lot of flowers in it. It's incredible. I don't know how many stems of flowers you've got in there, Lois. It's incredible. Sometimes, though, I notice that we've used the very small candlelights in here, and maybe somebody would like to have a larger flower. Hold on to that for a second. I'm just going to bring up some of the other varieties of pincushions that I have right here. And you can see that the different lengths and the different colors that look and take up more space. So you don't have to have 100 flowers in each one. We have a couple of varieties here. Yeah,
Crimson Comet, it's beautiful. Comet. That has a nice burgundy. That would have worked very well too.
Sure, this would be great. I mean, just look at that as a bouquet base. And this is Blanchito. And we have some Boleros, which are all blooming right now, but they have different seasons. This is actually Glyphs Light. There's a bunch of different names and a bunch of very close substitutable flowers. But this gives you an idea of some of the range of pincushions that are starting to come on now.
This is gorgeous. Actually, when you have this and that, it picks up the yellow inside.
Oh, this has little purple tips on it.
Yeah, with the pinky. Yeah.
So this all works well together. Great.
Yeah, there's quite a collection of different types of pins to actually choose from. And in the guidebook, there are pages of all the different pins, and you probably could order by color range, right?
Right, we do a lot by color.
You want it. Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about the construction of how you make this.
This one was it was a little bit more cumbersome to create this because the stem of the costas is like this. So I actually just shaved that right down because there was just too much weight. And I gathered up some of the larger stems and tied it off with Oasis waterproof tape so that I didn't have everything juggling around on me. It was kind of like how you to get that secure, one less thing, and then I moved on to the next layer. But that's the only thing aside from just spiraling each stem. I think a couple times I taped it off. It was I was probably getting tired. So anyway.
It's a pretty big bouquet.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Very unusual. You don't see the...
A lot of these flowers are very, very special, and I think that's fun to have.
This is seasonal, right? So typically, what months?
And now?
Okay. So that's Mimetes? No.
Mimetes.
Mimetes, yeah. But
okay, well, let's go to the next color.
Okay.
This is our 5th bouquet, and isn't this the sunset colored
I think so.
Lovely.
I love the Protea Duchess that you
right in the
had.
center.
I hadn't, you know, when I saw those, I was like, okay, there are actually 3 of them in here.
Right, one's here.
Yeah, so it's one here, one here, one here. And normally I would only put one, but
Right.
when I went through your cooler, I saw the buckets of them, and I was like, oh, okay. And you said take more, so I was like, okay. So initially, this inspiration was going to be jewel tone, but then I came across the Duchess, and I was like, it's picking up a nice coral peach color. So
You accented it with the dahlias.
and the dahlias actually blended perfectly. I think this one has a little bit more purple tone in it. So then we worked off with the hot pink. This is Tess, Garden Rose, Tess, and then we have some Scabiosa. The ranunculus play very well with the Safari Anthurium. We have Jungle King ginger, another type of ginger here.
Great.
And
Little calathea leaves.
Calathea insignis, and then we have these dark red dendrobians, Hawaiian grown. You don't see the dark red as often, but they are available. And
You have a little fern.
yep, some fern from a yard.
That's right.
And
then
some asparagus
fern as
yes.
well.
Just now we have movement. As far as temperates, to bring together this tropical nouveau look, we're using the garden rose, and we have some Lysianthus, and we also have some of this bronze-colored amaranthus, and that actually gives movement. I can.
Yeah, and we could also substitute a different kind of a mink in there. It picks up some of the same colors. It's very tactile. That's a great substitute.
You have the one that, what is that, Lady Di? Is that the pink?
Yeah, we have a couple in here. These different ones. You just take off the foliage here.
Yeah.
Put that in here. That'll give it a different dimension.
That's easy to work with as well. Okay,
this is the pink ice here.
Okay, so the pink ice has a darker center. So that would have played off very beautifully if there was no Duchess. That would be a very good substitute.
Right.
And actually, when I do order these from you, I usually say Duchess type.
Right.
So you have the grower or the wholesaler has the option to then get the substitute without having to call me.
Don't you find that right now that having that flexibility is important? You could have used a lot of different flowers in here. In fact, you have. But how do you operate in this time of pandemic?
More than ever, it's important to place the orders earlier. A lot of times substitutions are necessary, and what I found was if I cut it too late, there's not enough time to communicate. So what happens is you usually get short shipped.
Right. What we don't want to do is short ship you. What we do want to do is make sure that you have enough flowers to achieve your goals.
And what I also do now is on my order sheets, I will also list the second choice.
Right.
So right there, the supplier can go to that without another exchange of 2-3 more emails.
Well, the timing is so critical, and you have to have a plan B. One other thing I wanted to point out is that you don't always have to use all the leaves around the protea because it really hides the flower, and oftentimes the proteas get brown leaves. So if you want to show the flower off a little bit, just take off the leaves. So many people feel restricted and they can't do that.
No, I'm a big fan of editing. Because if you leave everything on, imagine that you're doing these bouquets at least a day or possibly maybe 2 days ahead. And by the time you're going to load up, get it delivered, especially with the mink types, the leaves may go black. So I automatically remove the leaves.
Absolutely. But they're a great combination. I think always ordering in advance and having a plan B and being flexible is important.
Very important these days.
So now we have all 5 bouquets here on the table. What a great selection. I think that this concludes our session.
Yeah, it really does showcase the variety and diversity of all the flowers we have.
Yeah.
And we'd like to invite people to come to Hawaii and get to know the growers and meet
That'd
the
be great.
people and actually for firsthand experience the flowers and the beauty of the island. So please come to Maui.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
And also know that a lot of these flowers are, we send them all over the place. So they're available, and I think you got a great inspiration here, great job.
Thank you.
You're
Now,
welcome.
how soon, if they want to get it ordered, you would ship it to them and they could expect it in 1 to 2 days, depending on where their location, West Coast, East Coast?
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
And then just a little bit about care and handling really quick. Like 60 degrees, we don't want them, don't put the flowers in the cold refrigerator.
Well, one of the ways I look at it is that you can make an easy assessment by looking at the stem. If the stem is soft, it goes to go in a warmer climate. So it goes into about a 65-degree climate, maybe 55 at the lowest. The proteas, they're woodier. They can go to a colder climate down to about 40.
Oh, 40
problem.
degrees for protea, okay.
Sure.
Like Anthuriums, orchids, definitely at 60.
55, 60
Yeah.
is a good range, yes.
And usually I say no more than 3 days. Otherwise, a dendrobium could go soft.
Yeah, you want to use
Right.
the flowers fresh, for sure.
Yeah, so because you can get them so quickly to the consumer, it's best to order in smaller lots more frequently than a bulk load, I would suggest, right?
Certainly.
Right.
You have a lot of options.
Okay, anyway, we're here to help.
Thank you,
I know
Lois.
you guys always help me out at Maui Floral, so thank you so much. Aloha. So we just finished filming our wedding celebration, Maui Style 2021. It was a great show. We're just finishing up here at Maui Floral at Carver, Wilson, and Maureen's farm and heading back out. And we have a wonderful show with our exhibitors, Lauren Shear from Hawaii Flora Fauna and Brittany Teixeira from Haku Maui. Very exciting. We're excited to have this webinar in November, and we've got a lot of information to share with you folks. So come along with us on our journey.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're here now with Lauren Shearer. She represents the new generation, and we're so excited to have you here, Lauren.
Thank you for having me.
So you're Maui grown, right?
Maui grown, born and raised in Pukalani.
Right
Yep.
down the road. And you've been making lei for how long?
Probably since I was in elementary school for May Day.
Is that right?
Yep, May 1st,
Look
Lei
at
Day in
Lei,
Hawaii.
That's right. That's a perfect day. So did you make lei for your friends and stuff like that?
I would always make lei for my friends' birthdays when they got back from college, and then
This was all in preparation, knowing that you were going to become a
I
professional
was
lei
going to be a
maker.
professional lei maker after I studied public health and nutrition in college.
Well, how does the nutrition play into this lei thing?
I can make edible lei.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very healthy edible lei.
And don't you think it's sort of food for the soul?
It
Flowers
is food
are?
for the soul.
I heard
Yes.
that you have a phrase for your business.
I'm solving world peace one lei at a time.
Right, just like Miss America, right? That's
Lei a
great.
day.
A lei a day.
Yes.
Well,
no,
so-
it is a beautiful thing to spread and becomes very cultural, educational, and an environmental tool.
That's fantastic. And so you're taking advantage of all of those aspects?
Yes, and
Well-
I do really focus on local ingredients. So I forage most of my ingredients, support local farms when I need to, and people call me a roadsider.
Yeah, that's because
constantly
you're
pulling over.
always looking for that special product called roadsidia, right?
Roadsidia, my favorite. So I have some lei here today.
Look at this incredible
really,
collection. I mean, my
My
God.
motto is everything can be made into a lei. And the world's your oyster, right?
Yeah.
Worldwide, too. You'll see lei across every culture, too.
Well, tell me a little bit about the lei that you gave to me earlier.
So today, Carver is wearing Queen Crepe Myrtle,
That's incredible.
which will dry really nicely. So there's always this afterlife of the lei as well. So the queen crepe myrtle becomes permanent necklace, basically.
This is it.
And
Right? This is
that's
another
it
one
as
right
well.
here. Yeah.
And then this is it as well.
Oh, okay.
Do
And
a
you
little-
combined it with a little bougainvillea there.
Bougainvillea.
Yeah.
Um,
How do you know it's,
and
what is it called?
queen crepe myrtle.
How do you know it's called queen crepe myrtle? You can't say that 3 times fast.
Well, I wish I knew the scientific term, but I don't.
Well, Myrtiaceae.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a relative of the leukodendron, or not leukodendron, but eucalyptus.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Through the lei making, as I said, it becomes a very educational tool. So I'm constantly learning new plants, where they come from, where they're native from. You know, it's a form of conservation too, as you can see this.
What's that?
This is Haole Koa.
This unreal.
And as you can see, basically you pull apart these little seed pods
Look at this.
and then string it up, and it dries super nice too.
Look at this. Look at, oh my God. And
that's how it
Koa is like
dries.
the ultimate,
It's everywhere.
well, it's the ultimate invasive. It's the ultimate just roadside terribilis,
I don't
right?
think you could ever eradicate the Haole Koa on this island.
Yeah. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at that. So what, go ahead.
I mean, it's a constant experiment, of course. Trial and error. Not everything works sometimes. Sometimes they last for 2 minutes, and sometimes they last forever.
Now, don't you have a little storefront that you operate out of?
I do,
How did you
yes.
make that leap to becoming a commercial lei maker from utilizing non-commercial products?
It was, I guess, just a risk that I had to take, and now this is what I do full time.
Right on.
Yep.
Right on. So tell us a little bit about who you provide the leis to.
I do a lot of weddings, birthdays, local clientele, celebrations of life, really for no reason at all, just people that want to get a lei.
Yeah.
It's, you know, a beautiful gift to share. It's aloha. It's, you feel the energy of the plant. And of course, always giving a lei is a beautiful reciprocal energy.
It's one of the main things about Hawaiian culture, I think, that we all get to enjoy.
Totally.
It's a great thing. And do people, I mean, obviously these leis are so unique. You've taken it to an art form. Are they more expensive than the everyday lei?
It's not a $7 lei like you can get from Costco, but I try to keep my pricing pretty low. So they start at $20 and then they can go up depending on how many strands. 3 is my number. I like to do odds. 3s, 5s, 7s. This is a fun one. Very different tribal-like coral tree.
Oh, that's
from the
beautiful.
Krispy Kreme parking lot.
Another example of roadside.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, look at this. This is an extraordinary looking. This is almost like amber. The
palm
pods.
seeds.
Those
Yeah.
palm
So the
seeds,
palm seeds, they dry like this.
Oh, look at that.
Which is beautiful. I love wearing my dried lei.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
like a whole nother market. But
Look at that.
I have lei needles, and they're all various lengths. String. You can use really any kind of string.
And then
This is just a really strong one.
And then this is a some of your raw materials.
Yes.
What do you got here?
So these are palm seeds, which I've used in this lei, and these are them dried.
Okay.
Hay berry.
Right.
This is a more mature stage than the hay berry like this. Also dries really nicely.
That's really cool.
Right.
Yeah,
So
if
this
you can
one,
see the
as you can see, I mean,
detail. My goodness.
they'll shrink, and so I'll just pull them all down and then
this is
cut
incredible.
and retie. And then that's how you kind of get the shape, or it becomes a permanent lei. So you just cut it and then just retie it there.
Right.
Simple knot. And then crown flower, which is a very common lei flower, is Queen Liliuokalani's favorite flower. So that's kind of how it became a commercialized thing. But in Hawaii, we have obviously the purple orchid, the white orchid lei, which have become very commercialized, as you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And tuberose.
Tuberose and plumeria, of course. That's what we all grew up with, right?
That's how I learned to make lei.
Frangipani in other parts of the world.
Totally. But yeah, I mean, India, there's a lot of crown flower in India even.
And garlands are affiliated with India.
Yep.
They're part of Indian culture as well.
Lei basically is a garland of flowers. So
what do people ask for when they call you up? How do you
I
pair
usually
up what you're going to do in your imagination with what the customers are going to. How do you get that going?
well, my Instagram is basically my portfolio, which is also how I've created this business. I started just posting to Instagram, and friends and family started ordering. So that has become kind of my portfolio. So people will look at that and pick something out. Of course, it's all seasonal, so not everything is always available. But otherwise, I'll say, do you have a specific color in mind? Flower? How many strands? You know, tell me a little bit about the person, what they like.
So you try to match it all up. Wow.
It's very custom.
It's very custom.
Yeah.
Have you ever used anything like the Protea Brax or anything like that?
I have, actually.
And how does that work?
I'm a big fan of editing flowers too. So basically, I would take this whole thing apart. Can I do it?
Yeah.
So little pieces, and then I've been doing a lot of like twisting and folding, so you can then and it's just power in numbers, really. You string it and kind of do like a rosette and keep going.
Try it again.
Okay. And then also there's different ways of weaving. Also, you can do what's called the Villivilli Style, which means to twist or twine. So you can do that with more things like this. I've even done the Protea, the pincushion. But you know, you get the idea.
It takes quite a drum.
Yeah, it takes time. And then you can cut these little pieces. You could add a berry or seed in there too. I like patterns and combining a few different ingredients into one lei.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
but
that's
really,
great.
Another motto is everything can be made into a lei. There's a few of those.
So you have little sayings, you have little signs on your shop as little mantras.
I should put those up in my shop.
That's so great. How long have you been doing leis commercially?
Commercially now, I've had the business for 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And in the last 2 years, it's really taken off. And I think part of that is having my shop space.
Yeah.
You get a lot more foot traffic and just spreading the idea of it's taking a traditional product and then it's a modern approach. So a very contemporary lei. You know, you don't see these
at the supermarket.
right now. Maybe one day, but yeah.
Maybe one day. And I mean, it is really a piece of art. And that's what people really relate to. Mm-hmm. What do people say when you show them what they're going to get?
I've had all the reactions possible.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
To oh my God.
To tears, to just such like gratitude. To I'm not wearing that.
Well, gratitude is what we want to express to you because it's so wonderful to have you in the floral community, and we want to share this with everybody around the world, and that's what our webinar is all about. Yeah. So thank you for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Aloha and welcome to Haku Maui.
Well, we are so pleased to be here with Brittany Teixeira at Haku Maui. It's a very special occasion here in this unique setting. We're going to talk about leis, what she does, and how she got here, and the meaning thereof.
Cool.
Welcome to the webinar.
Oh, thank you for being here.
So how long have you been doing this?
So lei has been a part of my life for most of what I can remember, especially growing up here. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I really dug a little bit deeper and found the real connection for myself with lei.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what do you think was the pivotal moment for that?
I think maturing. When you're younger, your job is a little bit more dirty. You're outside cleaning or prepping, and it's kind of not as fun. Yeah. But as you get older, you find what you're drawn to and what you're good at and what makes you feel good. And that's sort of how it happened. And so I would always just make lei for myself and for our family. And then from there, it just kind of grew.
Well, the other day you told me that you didn't like to do weddings anymore because, for a lot of reasons, but that you really wanted to concentrate on making lei and lei po'o and haku. as the name implies.
Yes.
And so you're happy doing this now. This is your thing.
Yeah. I know. I think some people thought I was crazy for kind of walking away from the large weddings, but as I was doing it, the thing I found most joy in was making their lei.
I think that's really important, don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
truly doing what you like to do is really critical.
Yes, yeah, and especially, when you have your own business, time is, important, and you are spending a lot of time with what you're doing, so you might as well be happy. And so for us, we made that decision, and at first, of course, it's hard. People kind of are like, oh, so where do we get our bouquets? But it created this new way of branching out and working with different florists and other people here.
Yeah.
So we all kind of work together where we do the lei and then they'll do the bouquet and the arrangements and set up for their day.
Right. And then don't you have the workshop? Because right now we're in the room where you conduct your workshops.
Yeah. So we teach lei making here, and we actually have a workshop very soon.
In the next 5 minutes.
Yes, but one of the things about our workshops here is that we take it all back to culture and tradition. So we saw that there was kind of a gap in what was being taught.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were teaching maybe purple orchid lei making and not really giving background to what lei means in Hawaiian culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it was very important to get the right message out there.
Well, what do you think are the most important elements to lei and the Hawaiian culture?
I think for people, when they talk with us, they understand that lei is more than just a flower crown or flowers around your neck. When you wear a lei around your neck, it resembles the way a child would embrace their mother. And that's how much love goes into it. So for us, lei can be seen as a sign of life. It's a connection from a place or a person to the next person. And so once we talk about that too, even for people that are getting married, it goes from, oh, but I want this to match this, to, oh, you know what, that was my tutu's favorite flower.
Yeah.
I want to wear that.
Yeah. I got it. So do you think that the spirit of which leis are given is really an important part of the overall experience?
Oh, yes, 100%. Your intention is everything, and people can feel that. And yes, even from the moment when you gather to prepping to making your lei, your intention as you weave is one of the most important things, in my opinion. As you weave your lei, your thoughts and your emotions become a part of your lei. This is an extension of yourself. So you always want to be mindful of that. In Hawaiian culture, if you're ever in a time of need or things kind of aren't going right, what you do is go out and gather and sit down and make lei so that you can reset and begin. So even when we make lei for our clients, I always like to know a little bit of the backstory and what this is for, representing, or what they're going through.
Yeah. And then you say weaving. Are a lot of your lei woven? Yes.
So we do a combination of different styles of lei. One of the types of lei that we make is villivilli, where we villi or wrap each piece of material onto banana leaf base using raffia. So here we don't use wire or ribbon or flower tape. And then we also weave lei in the haku style, which means to braid or to plait. And in that way, you braid the flowers together.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you weave it, isn't that kind of in the Villivilli style, isn't that kind of difficult?
It can be, but if that's your mindset. So we always tell everybody that, it kind of comes down to you. So we give you all the tools that you need to do this. But even for me, when you're making lei, it can be hard and time consuming. I've had a lei take me 5 hours to make when I was, first beginning as a business, and I was like, what am I doing? This is a very long time. But as you get the technique and you keep going, you can progress, but it's not easy. Yeah. It's not. And there's no really shortcuts that we take. So from the moment we wake up in the morning, we're gathering flowers up until the sun goes down. We're finishing making lei. So
now all of these items in front of us, can you just explain how you put these all together or why you chose these today?
Yes. So when we first started this as a business, I used to pick all the flowers at my grandma's house. And after about a year, she said, beat it, okay? I want you to go find somebody else's flowers.
Somebody else's yard.
Yes, yeah. So it
Like
gave
the people down the street.
yeah, like the folks at Maui Floral. Yeah. So it gave me the push I needed to really get out there and contact our local growers and see what we can work with and how we can work together. And so now we're happy to say that we work with growers here on Maui, Oahu, and Big Island, and we grow some of the foliage ourselves, especially our native plants. You can't really go out and purchase A'ali'i cuttings. You have to grow them yourself or know where to go. So the flowers that we choose for our workshops are hardy flowers. You're about to work very hard on your lei. We want to make sure that as you leave, your lei will last a long time.
And it's sturdy.
More than 1 hour out the door. So we love our cymbidium orchids and ginger. To me, they're some of my favorite flowers. They're so hardy, long lasting. I love when they're in season in Hilo too, our cymbidiums. And the ginger comes from right here on Maui.
Sure.
And then we like to use the Mokara orchids because they come in different sizes, different colors. They keep the color lasting for a long time. And then the tuberose for fragrance, we kind of alternate with plumeria too. And
I think that's where we all started, right?
Right, yeah. Plumeria, bougainvillea, all of that. And then we always like to have our rosebuds, especially the fuchsia. As you know, every island in Hawaii has a color and a flower that represents it.
And what's our color?
Yes,
flower?
pink Lokelani rose.
That's right.
Right. So we always have that. I encourage people just to even put one flower, just to pay honor to where we are and where we come from.
That's really important.
Yes, yeah.
What's this here?
So this type of foliage here is one of our native plants, A'ali'i. These are the leaves without the clusters.
Can you say it again slowly? So
Yes, A'ali'i.
A'ali'i.
This plant here represents resilience. So this plant can grow in all kinds of weather conditions. You'll find this from up the mountain down to the ocean. Barely any attention paid to it or water, and it will thrive. And so I encourage people to use this to represent resilience in themselves.
Very good. Very nice. We can grow this in Kula. No, we're different in Kula. We're down here from Makwao.
Yes.
Which is about, 1,500 feet elevation?
And you know that better than me.
Well, anyway, it's warmer here.
Okay, yes. Warmer, definitely.
Yeah,
and then we also use the Koa Leaf. So when you pick it, it has a type of crescent moon shape and also the sagey color. So you can either fold them into ribbons, we call them ribbons, or the other way for texture. So we love that plant too.
Well, that's great. Now, did you make a haku around your head today?
Yes.
All right, that's lovely.
And I added, we also grow some palapalai here at our location. So I picked some last night.
Now, what's an example? Do you have one of those flowers?
No. It's a type of native fern that's very lacy.
Right.
And it looks delicate, but it's a lot stronger than you think.
Right.
And then we also love our Anthuriums too. So they're not, sometimes people are kind of like, they're not as familiar with this flower. So we explain about them and where they come from. They're one of our most prized flowers, I think. And to me, they represent, honestly, love. Yeah. So it's important for us just to even have those here.
Share all that.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So you're going to have a workshop here in a few moments.
Yes.
And who's going to be coming to it?
So we have a really good following, I would say, of people that are from here, from Maui, or local from Hawaii, and places from abroad. So we usually have about a 50-50 combination of that, men and women, not only women, okay? So it's just been really nice because we pay a lot of attention to word of mouth here and also kind of social media. So it's been nice to see that word of mouth has grown sort of across the US and some places across the world. So
isn't it amazing, the resurgence of interest in life?
Yes, absolutely. To me, it's so beautiful that people are wanting to take time to learn about it and to know about it and be correct with how they speak about it and what they say. I know a lot of times that, we are so fortunate that we can't go to the store and just quickly grab a lei, happy birthday, and keep it moving. But now people are calling and what's in season? First of all, they're asking, what does this represent? Somebody's retiring. Do you have hala? They know about it.
So what are some examples of significance in the flower or the foliage like at Hala into life's changes or passages or moments in time?
There, I would see that another, the chickens, Makamal. I would see that another flower that is really important to us too is the bud of the lehua tree, which is the liko. We use that a lot for something that is just beginning. If somebody is on their journey, say to very monarch, or they're becoming a mom, or their child is turning 1, the liko represents a young bud that is beginning to bloom.
That's awesome.
Yes.
No, that's really important.
Thank you.
So now that people are asking all the more sophisticated questions in a way because people are learning more and they're becoming more knowledgeable. What greater place? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What greater place to come and learn this stuff than with Brittany here in Makua, which is a bustling little town in upcountry Maui.
Yes, come see us.
Aloha. Good morning.
Good again. The round tent, all the outer sheet to reduce the stem.
Aloha! Welcome! Hawaii! I wasn't ready.
All righty, good. Good job. Everybody here loved that, the big eye over there on Maui. So that was beautiful, Lois. That was super
Thanks,
nice.
Josh.
Yeah. So what do you think, Hitomi?
Oh my gosh, it was such a great, Carver did such a fantastic job all the way through, narrating everything. I mean, the beautiful bouquets. I mean, Lois is like the grandmaster of bouquets and beautiful textures and colors. I mean, we were just treated with some of the most incredible selection of material there from Maui. It was just a complete journey. I loved it so much. It was wonderful. Thank you guys. You guys did a fabulous job.
Thank you, Hitomi.
Oh, thank you.
Well, Hannah spent a lot of time and energy really trying to make go the distance. And
Oh my
she
gosh.
spent a lot of time with all the B-roll shots. So, yeah, we had some early morning photo sessions to beat the sun.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You were great.
You did a fabulous job, Hannah. And I just wanted to say also that the journey of listening to the new introduction to the lay makers there on the Maui. I mean, that was just really precious. I loved watching Lauren. She's such a great communicator and really gave a great overview of what she does in a new creative way. And Brittany, I mean, I'm just a big fan of Brittany. There was a visit that we did with her. I think it was Lois, myself, Deb, and Sue.
Right.
All of us went and took a lesson at Haku Maui, and it was just the best time ever. So I highly recommend a visit to her. So good to see those new faces amongst us. That was really fantastic. Great idea. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
You're really welcome. It was really fun doing it.
Right. We had a great time with Brittany. I think it was 3 years ago, and it was after a HFNA program that actually happened pre-pandemic, where we actually could have live gatherings. And, that would be wonderful to get back to. And I said, Hitomi, we're going to take the day off and chill and go and experience and just head to Makawao. And Sue came in and helped with that program, and Deb flew in, and we had a blast, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. it was a different
it was,
style of designing for Hitomi too. So it was quite funny.
Such a nervous breakdown trying to hold all those flowers. It was so hard. And Brittany kept saying, don't hold it so hard. You gotta give it love. Don't cling so hard. And I'm like, it's so hard. But it was so much fun to understand the whole process and the meaning behind the love that you're putting into the bouquet. It was just the most wonderful experience. That was so cool.
Yeah, it really comes through with these ladies when they show their artistry and the work. I mean, they are putting in so much love. I mean, when you think about what Lauren is doing and sowing all those seeds, I mean, it's mind-boggling. But she's thinking out of the box. And I think that is something, maybe if we look a little deeper or not in the usual path, you know, we find that mauve color Banksia that we didn't see before. Or you find that Galpinii, Leukodendron, that you've only really seen it when it's sold with the cones. But then you're looking with a fresh perspective and you see the lavender spiral, and that was so pretty. You know, it's just like looking at things with fresh eyes and seeing. Sometimes we get so caught up in our everyday that we don't see those things. But that's how we actually can find new things to bring to market as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they're sitting right on the side of the road a lot of the times here. Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and Russell, I think it was 2 years ago, we were here. It was COVID. And the grass. I said, Russell, please go up on the highway. I have to have that grass. And the first one I could cut, you know, I had enough to show him. And he was like, how much do you need? And I said, I need a lot. And it is really about some of those things that have made the projects so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a blessing. So Carver, I was asking Lois, and I think you said it in your piece there, but how high altitude are you at? And what effect does that have on what you're growing? And what, can you explain a little bit about altitude and why you need to be where you're at for what you're growing?
Well, the Protea really, you know, thrives in a cooler climate, a Mediterranean-style climate. We're at 3,500 feet where I'm sitting right now. And the Protea bloom well between 1,500 and about 4,000 feet. Now we're working on some new varieties that may be hybrids that may be able to produce more flowers at a lower elevation. But this is kind of where they're from. When we started the experiment station, which is nearby, this is where those plants first bloomed. The pincushions were at a different time of year as of blooming versus California, where they were also grown in the United States. So this was seen as a great spot. Kula is a really wonderful spot. As you can see right behind me, where I'm on the farm right now. The weather is lovely. The soil is excellent, and the well-drained soil and the climate is somewhat dry. That makes the Protea really thrive. So these are the reasons that we located here was for the Protea.
That's awesome. And Hannah, so your focus is on Protea, correct?
Yes. Right now at the Kula Agricultural Research Center, I'm working on pest and disease identification and management practices. So I'm testing out different fungicides to help growers such as Carver and really Maui growers and Hawaii growers manage fungal pathogens and just increase their yield and the health of the plants themselves.
Are you working at all on hybridization at all? Are you guys trying to come up with any different types of new strains?
Sure, great question. Not at this moment, but I do hope, you know, with the ornamental team, with Russell and James and Joanna, in the future, I think there's a great opportunity to start working on that. And we really need, it's really important, this event, and hearing from the florists and seeing what is popular, what colors, what textures, what sizes. That's all really important feedback.
Do you, Hitomi, have a favorite protea that you work with?
Oh my gosh, I love them all. Like, I visited the ag station up there when it's in full bloom and just going from bush to bush. I mean, the textures and those subtle coloring, exactly that Lois is talking about. Sometimes you see it as you walk to it, that it's that bright orange, but then it has the little peach tinge, the little bit of fuzzy gray inside it. And that's when you start to realize that a single flower can inspire the color combination, the palette for the whole bouquet. That one flower has everything that helps unite and bridge everything together. Proteas are really fabulous for that. It gives us all these wonderful hints of what the possibilities of the color combination can be. So I have to say, I can't tell you that there's a favorite, because every time I look at one, that becomes my favorite.
Yeah, you get a new favorite every day, right?
Exactly.
Would you say that I've seen a lot of the king protea I've seen used a lot in dramatic arrangements. This was in Los Angeles, but is that one of the most popular? It's such an incredible looking flower. And I love the woodiness of the whole plant and the way it just looks in an arrangement. Carver, is there one in particular that you produce more than any other?
I think that we probably produce more pincushions, although we produce a lot of kings. There's more pincushions per bush than there are kings per bush, but kings are very, very popular. And actually, it's sort of interesting that we're having a surge of interest in it in the last few years. We were talking earlier about trends and forecasting trends. And boy, I tell you, I never would have thought that kings would be synonymous with weddings. I mean, how?
That's true.
Because like Tommy said earlier, back in the 1980s, kings were used in big arrangements and with very stylized Monstera heliconia king. That was a nice combination, still is. But to see it being used singularly in a wedding with a completely different mental ethic or a sensibility to it, it's really remarkable that's transformed into that product.
So true.
Yeah.
What's really intriguing to me, I mean, because that clearly shows how you can't ever predict trend and to be ready for the trend when it comes. Because I think the ag station up in Kula was ready for that trend to come like 10 years ago. They were in the peak and the height of hybridization. There's more varieties hybridized there in the world than anywhere else.
That's right. And actually, we were ready. We've been doing that for a very long time.
Yes.
We started in the 1980s, which is now 40 years ago, starting to hybridize. The first, we were talking about the community of people that have come together in the agriculture. Phil Ito was the hybridizer for macadamia nuts. Not everybody knows that macadamia nuts are protea. And so he was brought in to make the first hybrids. Some of those very first hybrids that he created are some of the most spectacular of all the flowers. And then how do you project that it's going to be that this sort of stylized, heavily architecturally featured flower is going to appeal to almost a bohemian sense of design? And who knew that the bohemian design was going to be popular in 2020?
Who would have thought ever that a bride would ask for 3 proteas in a bouquet? Oh my gosh.
No.
Just my brilliant friend Lois
really,
here. She was the only one. Yeah.
Well, I remember when we had a henna conference and Hitomi commented that why was I using, 3 kings? And I think it was a little early because social media wasn't quite there yet. But now all the requests for kings are coming from the brides. I'm not telling them to use kings. They're telling me they want the king. Yeah. That's how it's been. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's remarkable. I got to say though that Lois, you do an incredible job on those bouquets. I mean, honestly, the video that we just showed didn't do them justice. I mean, they are so fantastic, and there's so much opportunity with all this material to make it incredibly interesting and fascinating, I mean, you can just dive into one part of it and be fascinated all day long. I can't say, it was really fun for me to just to be, along for the ride there.
Well, you know those books.
I think,
Go ahead, Hitomi.
I just wanted to comment on the fact that I think you specialize in botanically curated bouquets. And I think there should be a classification of that, because what treasures to have all those beautiful pieces that were carefully selected for that experience of a Hawaiian wedding.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get that from just anybody. It takes an artist like you, Lois,
Well,
because you know the product
yeah.
and you know how to use it.
I
That's
think
right.
for
And
the
I
commercial
gotta
person,
add a,
go ahead. Commercially,
gotta
somebody
add more
could cut
to that,
those
Lois.
bouquets in half and still make it very profitable. But in this case, for today's program, it is really to show the diversity of what we have and to show as much product in that short time frame versus showing a lot of just a few products. This was an opportunity to bring forth the color range we have in the different between the Anthuriums and the application of using those things, the proteas, the different orchids. And I chose to do it that way versus, you remember, us in the sun doing a huge display. I said, no, we're going to change the direction this year. Like last year, we also did a very big display with less product, a few products. But I think my job this time was really to show how much beauty we have here and the options that there are for the brides to choose from, because they are wanting tropicals. They're asking for it. And we were able to show the different color palettes in the ranges that, you could go. Sometimes we just have to, the florists have to find these things and that's not roses to meet that color. Yes, it's easy to find roses that you can fill that color spectrum, that little gap of what they're asking for, but we have it here. And that was kind of my mission in this program. Yeah.
Well done.
Beautifully executed.
Mission complete, as we would say here in
Oh my God.
the Research Center. So, well, we have to say goodbye. Aloha to Maui, unfortunately.
Thank
That
you.
was an amazing job. Thank you so much, Hannah, for shooting that and spending your time with us on a Sunday. And Carver, are we allowed to come maybe take a tour sometime of your farm?
Sure. Absolutely.
All right, I'll join Hitomi there, and we'll.
Yes, you
and
get the
Lois,
royal tour
Yeah.
with the food too.
And the food, yes, yeah. All right, aloha all. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Lois.
everyone.
Thank
it was,
you, John.
it was such
Okay.
a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
What incredible stuff.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.